You're welcome.
For some context and perspective now, let's bring in former intelligence officer for the Office of the Secretary of Defense, Mike Barrett, is here. He's also a former director of strategy for the White House Homeland Security Council and is now the CEO of security consulting firm Diligent Innovations. Good to see you again, Mike. Thanks.
Thank you, Shep. How you doing?
I'm okay. General Allen says we are on track to meet our objectives in Afghanistan, and you say?
Well, I mean, first off, General Allen's a great American. We got 90,000 great Americans over there trying to carry out this policy. And I think the issue is twofold. One is at a broader policy level, which is, can the military train up people to provide some level of security? Yeah, we can get to some level of security, but there's really no political institutions, there's no economic institutions, there's none of the civil governance that would be required for Afghanistan to be a stable place. So that's a huge problem here. And then secondarily, I would say that I think, General Allen, again, he's leading the forces. He has to lead with a very positive message. The reality is you don't have the experienced senior enlisted leaders. You don't have the logistic support. You don't have the history and the strength of camaraderie there with the Afghan forces. What you have is a bunch of people that have been trained how to carry out specific types of missions. Whether or not they'll be able to do that once the U.S. mentors and trainers leave, I think is an open question, and certainly many, many people in the military privately would tell you it's just not going to happen. They're not going to be that strong once we leave.
The goal is to leave them in a position so that they'll be able to maintain security, maintain the peace for the public, and in addition, keep al-Qaeda and the Taliban from reconstituting there.
That's right. But now, of course, the U.S. is mostly concerned with those last two pieces, whereas the Karzai government and the others that are in power, you're talking about a very tribal society, and it has been for thousands of years. The notion that we're going to change that in 2 years is frankly, a strategy of hope, not one of really reasonable military defensible strategy.
You wonder when they say meet our objectives have changed so often over the past decade in Afghanistan that sometimes it's difficult just to keep up with what our stated objectives are month to month.
It is. Really, originally it was because it's a haven for al-Qaeda.
Well, it's
but of
not
course,
anymore.
That was 10 years ago.
Yeah, it's been a haven for al-Qaeda in at least 5 years.
Exactly. And al-Qaeda is operating in a variety of other countries, and offshoots are operating in Somalia, Yemen, a variety of places. So if the counterterrorism mission is primacy, then really we need to rethink the whole piece of what we're trying to do in Afghanistan. I think there's very little evidence that we're creating the civil institutions that will last. And, of course, that's where the military finds itself between a rock and a hard place. They're going to carry out their mission as best they can, but they're just not going to see anything in terms of a civil society growing up in Afghanistan. And, of course, one of the important pieces here is where's the president talking about this? I actually went on the White House website today and looked up Afghanistan under the Issues tab. And when you do that, it takes you to a link from December of 2009. That was the speech that they have on the White House website. So if it's worth spending billions of dollars, then I think it's worth, talking about and having some kind of a discussion here. And I think that's the confusion that you're expressing there, Shep.
Yeah, there's a lot of confusion. What was it Mom used to say? If you don't have something good to say, don't say anything at all. Maybe that's the strategy. Kind of like that strategy of hope. Mike Barrett, it's good to see you. Thanks so much.
Thank you.
All right. Well.